Hello, Swivelheads. It's Greg Allison with Green Grays coming to you live a little earlier than normal tonight. And it's probably the way it'll have to be from here on. My friends, a lot has been going on. My apologies for not being here earlier as much as I have been, but I have been in the midst of a very arduous move that I'm still in the midst of. This is the only intact room left in my house. I don't even have, I'm sleeping in my van. I don't have a room to sleep in upstairs. But anyway, guys, what's happening now? We have a Cat 5 hurricane in the Caribbean. We have Russia and United States at each other more than you might realize and know. We'll go into that. We have the Mideast about to flare up with Israel, apparently about to go into Lebanon and Iran threats. There's the news is off the charts. We have more tension with China and the Philippines, China and Taiwan, and North Korea to boot. So it's happening everywhere. And of course, the Houthis have sprung up with more action, sinking ships, and we've been playing whack-a-mole still with them. So, guys, we are in a very tense, tough situation. And then there's this whole presidential debate debacle. Oh, wow. I think I'm going to reserve that for maybe I'll follow up a video on Swivelhead News to talk about that if we can find the time tonight, because I can't be on here too late. I got something I got to do really early in the morning. So just bring you guys up to speed here. I'm going to open the chat room to see if we got anybody in the house. I've been gone so long, I don't know if anybody even knows to look for my videos anymore. Once again, my apologies. I have been beyond super busy, guys. And we'll talk about that a little bit. All right, let me open this chat room, and we're going to go straight into the news, and we're going to cover news first. All right, we have 62 in the room. Not too bad, all things considered. New man. All right, we got Colonel Cole in the house. Oh, we got Rex Bear in the house. The Leak Project. Salute, Rex. All right, guys. Yeah, I have been kind of off the radar lately because I have been moving. I have been extremely busy. All right, guys. So here we go. What's happened? One of the biggest tension points that you may have heard a little bit about, but maybe not enough, because I haven't been watching so many of the YouTube videos of other creators. I don't know what they went into. But in case you haven't heard, Russia is mad at the United States and has made direct threats to the United States for retaliation unspecified to come at a time unspecified. But one of the things they've been talking about is attacking our drone flights in the Black Sea. That's not the only thing they've talked about, but that's one of the top things they've been talking about because of this. As you may know, President Biden gave permission to the Ruskies, to the Ukrainians to fire deeper into Russian territory than what had been permitted before. And attacking missiles recently fired upon Crimea during a Russian holiday hit a beach with those submarines. I've covered videos of submarines are devastating. I have covered that in a video of how bad that looks. That is awful. Well, apparently it was a holiday. There were beachgoers, and over 150 people were hit, and 4 passed away as a result. And it said that some of them were children. So this has got the Russians really mad, and they have said, okay, this is United States weapons, and they say that the firing of these was directed by the United States with intel from the United States and targeted information from the United States via the probably RQ-4 Global Hawk. We know also in the past that the Russians had taken out one of the MQ-9 Reaper drones back last year, caused it to crash in the Black Sea. Well, now they're talking about just going open season on these drones. And I think just today it came out that the United States has been trying to game what to do about this. They said, well, we'll continue our flights with international waters and blah, 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 blah. Well, the Russians aren't accepting that. So the United States has upped the ante by saying, well, we're going to fly manned aircraft. That came out today. Manned aircraft for the surveillance missions. And that'll probably make the Russians even madder. So if something like this Crimean incident should occur again, all bets are off. All bets are off. We are in a very tense situation there. Russians have been making a lot of threats to NATO nations, and like I said, specifically to the United States over those events. And as you also know, in the Mideast, between Israel and Hamas has been fighting. And of course, Hezbollah has said that, well, as long as this conflict with Hamas is going, we're going to be firing missiles into northern Israel. Well, they upped the game quite a bit recently. Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah, had actually went so far as to claim that if the Israelis were to attack into Lebanon, that their missiles would cover the entire area of Israel, that they would fire a huge barrage of missiles into Israel, covering the entire area. So nowhere in Israel would be safe. And to make it even more interesting, the Iranians even went further, talking about all bets were off. And first they talked about all the proxies would be unbridled to attack, but then they started making hints. And there's a word out that Iran and Hezbollah are talking about attacking Cyprus. Cyprus, yeah, that's part of Greece. You know, Cyprus is actually divided between Greece and Turkey. They're not talking about hitting the Turkish part; they're talking about hitting the Greek part. Greece is a NATO nation. And so this would really up the specter of what could happen there and how ugly this could get. The direct threats against Cyprus are off the charts. Well, hello, Michelle. Thank you for sharing that link. We'll check that shortly. I know when she does that, I usually get a nice donation from her. And salute to Michelle. She gave me a super chat. I didn't even do a video. She got so worried about me. She just chimed in a $25 donation recently. So I will congratulate her and say thank you for that. So guys, I'm going to talk about my move a little bit toward the end of this video, and we may switch over to swivel heads, cover the the dementia debate we recently saw. But anyway, so what's happened here is that the Israelis had said that if Hezbollah keeps firing on them, that they're going into Lebanon. Well, Israel took a strike on some areas into Lebanon, and Hezbollah just made a major missile strike into northern Israel. So, hey, we got a super chat from George Cuff. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Hey, listen, guys. So the situation there is that that we can expect this war between Hezbollah and Israel to go full tilt. It really, I don't see anything backing this off. All the defense analysts are saying it looks like it's going to happen. Everybody is saying that. Netanyahu made changes in his cabinet to promote this. He's been talking about it. It sounds like from all points, this is going to happen. That war is going to get broader. That may be, like I said, pulling Iran in. Iran's made, and Hezbollah both made threats against Cyprus. This is quite an escalation. You could see a direct war between, again, a bigger direct war between Iran and Israel. We could see, gosh knows what we could see. Can the Iron Dome sustain being attacked both by Hezbollah and Iran? How much did that recent attack by Iran on Israel deplete the resources of the Iron Dome? I don't know, maybe Colonel Cole could tell us. Colonel Cole is in the house. I appreciate if he's got something to chime in on that. Yes, April, I had lost quite a bit of weight. This shirt is like, I don't know, it's like I'm wearing a circus tent. Actually, I gained back a few pounds here in the past week because I have been off my diet more or less. While I'm traveling, it's hard to diet and travel. And I've been on the road. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, guys. I have been on the road, packing, moving. Like I said, this is the only intact part of my house now. Most of my house is totally disheveled and packed up, and over half of my personal belongings are in storage in Snowflake, Arizona. So I'm taking this serious, guys. It's time to get serious with your preps. It's time to pay attention to what's going on. The time to just twiddle your thumbs has passed. It's time to take some action. Get your house in order. It's time to get your personal everything in order, your preps, your family. Get right with your maker. Make sure your family knows you love them, because the things that are coming upon us might come swift. This whole thing has been a kind of a general escalation. It's only been escalating. All these tensions have only been escalating. It could go off the charts at any time. We don't know. Or it could continue to escalate. But an escalation, even on a ramp, still goes up. So we are in a precarious situation right now. and there's those, though nothing ever happened. Stuff's already happened. Things have already happened, and there's nothing out there that seems to be offering to bring it down. Although we'll discuss a little bit some notions for peace treaty, but we've got some vulnerabilities too. Some very big vulnerabilities coming up this fall. For one, is prior to elections. Two, a certain president that you may have heard of is in power here in the United States is appearing to be weaker than ever. And weak leaders invite all kind of mayhem from those that would like to take advantage of it. And they may say this is their last best chance to do things that they would like to do. And the sea states are really good for an invasion of Taiwan this fall. They've already missed the spring sea state season, but the next one is coming up right prior to elections. Will they take advantage of that? I can't say one way or the other, but the prospects are existent. It's definitely existent. Don't say, well, Greg said this is going to happen. I talk about probabilities and possibilities for the most part, except I did tell you definitely the food prices would go up a few years ago. Did I not? And that's about the only prediction I've ever actually made. And did that not occur? Yes, it did. And so I hope people have been paying attention to that, because I've got a lot of older videos on this channel about gardening. I ask you to take those to heart, eating wild edibles and things like that. Yeah, I've lost some weight. That's true. So in any event, hey, we got Token in the house. All right. So, guys, we are in a time now that you've got to pay close attention. We are in a time that you got to get ready. I'm going to go through some news articles here, but this is the preparatory to it, just kind of leading in to what's going on as we collect people in the house. We got 134 in the house. Very good. Thank you, Jason, for asking for a like and share. We've not been on here a long time, and it really hurts you with the algorithms on these channels when you're off air. A lot of YouTubers are afraid to take vacation. They're afraid not to be posting on a daily basis because it hurts the channel. But but I've had to do what I got to do. Have we got another super chat? Well, Chris Travis, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. That all helps, because this moving has cost me way more than I anticipated. And I really am struggling to have enough money to complete the move. Even though I've actually started a day job last Monday, but I don't get paid for a few weeks. And so I still won't get enough to, these expenses have been crazy. Moving to, like I'm moving, is a very expensive thing, it turns out. But we'll go all into that in a little bit. So let's get into the news. I'll talk about me a little bit later. Let's get into the news. I'm going to do some article shares here. I got to be careful what I share. Ding, 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 ding. Let's see here. But talking about preps, guys, it might be time to take your long-term food storage seriously, especially if we have a nuke war. Should there be extensive enough to put all the soot in the atmosphere that could cause global temperature drops, I'd say have your seeds and have them ready, but you might want some other food to get you through. If you go to Prep with Greg, prepwithgreg.com, you will find there's a $50 deal off of 4 weeks emergency food supply. And that's a pretty good price there, guys, for that kind of stuff. It lasts 25 years. And they've got a $100 mark off for the 3-month supply. And there's a lot of other stuff in here. If we can go in here and check on or click on the store interest. Once you go through prepwithgreg.com, which is the only way it's going to help me out here, but there's a lot of other things like water filtration, air filtration, and other prepping supplies available to you there. Check it out. See if there's something there catches your eye. Anyway, let's move on. This is the kind of plane that was taken down back last year. This is the MQ-9 Reaper drone. This, I believe, was what was in action when the strike took place on Crimea. The Reaper drone is also known as for carrying missiles, like the Hellfire, I believe. You got the Northrop Grumman RQ-4 Global Hawk, which is a bigger platform, longer range, more intelligence gathering information systems on board. But these are have been directly threatened by Russia. They're talking about taking them out. There was a report of one of these being shot down a few weeks ago, but it's the United States denies that. Of course, they would if it had or hadn't. Likely, it's possible they would deny it. So we don't know what the real story is on this. But they're now talking about taking them down in numbers. So, like I said, the United States has actually said, "Hey, we're going to man platforms now." So there's some signs that we're heading toward global war. We're already in, I would say, a global war. Politico's reporting Hezbollah and Israel are drafted their battle plans. We know that. Iran's warning that it will be an obliterating war if the IDF enters, the Israeli Defense Forces enter southern Lebanon. 3, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is convinced that a major war with Iran is inevitable. He thinks it's going to happen one way or another. So they might just decide that this is the time for it. I don't know. But that's the talk that's out. Of course, he's had a lot of talk about that since he drew that bomb at the UN with his little marker on it back several years ago now. But we do know the Iranians are a lot closer to having the things, the assets, the nuclear devices that they have been concerned about for so long. We're moving military assets into position, including landing crafts, amphibious landing craft. Now, maybe this supposedly that's to evacuate the citizens from Lebanon. A lot of countries are getting their people out of Lebanon right now because they're anticipating that war. Hezbollah has, sent more rockets into northern. This is old. This is already old news. That was Thursday. I mean, this happened today. This news is already dated. It's gone up since then. It's got worse. And then this whole thing I just told you about Cyprus attack, that's not even on this list here. That's definitely off the charts. If they hit Cyprus, all bets are off. I could get Europe involved. We get NATO involved. Would they go that far? That's a big step. I don't know if they would venture to do that, but that's what they're talking about doing. It's the RQ4. It's the RQ4 that we're talking about, not RQ180. And of course, we got the Reaper drone here. Whoa, what happened? Yikes. Okay, I don't know why I did that. Screen blacked out. We got this MQ9 MQ9 Reaper and the RQ4 Global Hawk has been two of our primary platforms for these drone robotic intelligence gathering flights. And item number 7, talking about this plan where Biden had gave them, we're talking about putting military contractors, U.S. military contractors in Ukraine. And then we got this coalition going on. There's just a lot of news items here. And of course, then Putin's also said he's going to develop this interim range nuclear weapons, interim range missiles. He's going to bring those back into play. They had them back in the Reagan era, and Reagan come up with the Persian missile, and the Persian missile so scared them that there was a treaty between the United States and Russia to get rid of those interim range missiles. Well, our Persians aren't there anymore, and Russia's apparently want to pull out some more interim range missiles. So also Belarus is in the news here too, because Belarus is talking about nuking Ukraine or whoever else threatens their national sovereignty. So that's a whole nother story that's come out. So there's a lot of news even since this article came out. Very influential figure in Russian foreign policy suggesting that Russians should actually detonate a nuclear device in order to show the world how serious they are. We've talked about this before. Dmitry Solov, well, that's back in the news again. They're really talking about it a lot lately. Like I said, also Belarus has threatened use of nuclear weapons. And of course, Russia's jamming GPS, of course. And so what Belarus Lukashenko is talking about is if there's any threat to the sovereignty of Belarus, that they're saying, hey, we know how to use these things. We've got them, and we can use them if we have to. That's Lukashenko there. He's kind of a good ally to Putin. So now what does he mean about their sovereignty? We don't know what he considers at stake for his sovereignty, but bring back nuclear tomahawks. Well, we've got those. They are nuclear capable. So we've fired them with conventional weapons, but there is a nuclear package that can fly on the Tomahawk missile. So, and here's the other news item. I don't know if this made any other channels news or not, but several U.S. military bases in Europe were put under force protection condition Charlie. That is the next to the highest alert for these bases in anticipation of some kind of attack. What they're talking about, the expectation at least has been put out there. The excuse for that is they're expecting a potential terrorist attack on some of our military bases. Now, what do they mean by that? I don't know. Several U.S. military bases in Europe put on a heightened state of alert. So to give you an idea, this is the force protection conditions, FP cons. I assume Colonel Cole could tell you all about this. Hey, Cha-Cha, good to see you back in the room. Sasquatch Marion. Sunshine CST girl. All right, so you can see Charlie is the next to the highest level. The Delta applies to an immediate attack. This force protection condition Charlie applies when an incident occurs or intelligence is received indicating some form of a terrorist action or targeting against personnel or facilities is likely. So this is a high level of anticipation that they got going on over there in Europe right now. So this is definitely an escalation. Has DEFCON gone up? That does not mean that DEFCON's gone up, and whatever the status of DEFCON is classified. But definitely we're hearing more from the Russians. Of course, this goes back to this escalate to de-escalate, the idea that Russia might use a nuke to de-escalate the situation. Would it really de-escalate the situation or cause further escalation? This is a place we've never been before in the world of war between nuclear powers, where somebody would use a nuke to get the others to take them seriously, stand down. What would happen? American forces have claimed that if they did this, that we would react and basically take out all the Russian positions in a direct attack with conventional attacks. But that could possibly escalate because that would threaten the sovereignty of Russia and their new, they've been redoing their nuclear doctrine. And even by the nuclear doctrine that I read to you guys from the Kremlin website many months ago, many of those thresholds have already been crossed. So where are we heading, guys? I don't know. I'm not saying we're going to have a nuke war, but the prospects are greater than they were a year ago. Let's put it that way. Too big, too great. We're playing Russian roulette with Russians. Not an optimal thing to be doing. World on edge is Russia told to demonstrate a nuclear explosion to scare the West. So you can see there's plenty of recent articles coming out about this. This was like 3 hours ago from the time I opened this website up. So this is the hot discussions right now. Washington has replaced its reconnaissance drones over the Black Sea with manned jet and Russian threats. This came out today. Well, I guess that's 5 minutes past midnight here, so I guess this would be yesterday now. So this came out Monday. This is new news. I don't know if anybody else is covering this, but I'm bringing it to you. So at least it says that we've ignored Moscow's warnings about the possibility of taking retaliatory measures against its reconnaissance drone flights over the Black Sea. The Pentagon has stated that flights will continue over international waters and in international airspace where the law allows. Well, I don't think the Russians are appreciating that when it leads to targeting other facilities. We've been saying that on here all along for a long time. That basically we're giving the Ukrainians the missiles, the bombs. We're telling them where to aim and when to fire, and doing everything but personally pulling the trigger. Well, we've been asking how long would the Russians put up with that, and what would they do about it? Well, apparently they're talking about doing something now. That's news. They've kind of laid low on that until this point in time. And now they're really beating the drum on it. What does that mean going forward? It means the potential for further escalation. Also, you can see that European countries are now stockpiling food. So, and particularly Norway. Norway is stashed away 30,000 tons of grain, and they're planning to do this over the next 2 years. Now, supposedly enough to take care of their population for several months. So they're trying to take care of their own people. What's our government doing for us? All these other countries are trying to protect their people. Our government don't seem to give a flip, as far as I can tell, about us regular citizens. Greg, do you think they're reassembling the old warheads and storage in Texas? They're talking about that. In fact, NATO, that's an article I haven't pulled up. One of the articles I've read over the past few weeks is that NATO is actually talking about pulling out their old reserve nukes and getting them ready. Russia's talking the same thing. The escalation is going up, guys. It's not, the tensions are, there's no denying the escalation and tensions. But the U.S. has put out some mobile nuclear capable missile launchers in the Baltic Sea, excuse me. And it's these guys right here. This Typhoon missile launcher system. The launcher was developed by the U.S. Army. They've been probably right here in Redstone Arsenal, down the road from me. Tested at White Sands out in New Mexico. Oh, there it is. Here, yeah, I do have an article up on this. NATO in talks to put nuclear weapons on standby. Did have this article up. Sometimes I'll juggle so many articles, I forget what I've actually opened here. So, but this was from the middle of the month. So this is an article I had opened some time. I just reserved it because I've not been on here for a while. So I thought you guys would want to see that. I do news research consistently. Don't always, not being able to bring it to you on a daily basis. In fact, I've just about missed the entire month here in June. I think I did one video in the whole month of June. So my apologies for that, guys. It's what I'm going through right now has been pretty arduous in this move that I've been executing. Anyway, Ukraine is getting desperate for people. They have released thousands of prisoners to fight against Russia. I told you they're having personnel problems, that they're going through a lot of people over there. That even though the Russians lose more people in the combat on a daily basis, like about 1,000 a day, the Russians have more reserves to draw from than Ukraine does. And war of attrition between Ukraine and Russia, Russia has the upper hand. Now, some people are thinking that when the F-16s are in full force, that that might shift to Ukraine. Time will tell, but I am a bit skeptical about that, and that may also raise the stakes for a war between NATO and Russia. Psycho Billy, that's a good name there. All righty, so yeah, it's just going nuts right now, guys. So, but there is some hope. Putin vows truce if Ukraine exits Moscow occupied territories and drops the NATO bid. What they're talking about is if Ukraine basically turns the Donbass and Crimea regions over to Russia and stops their bid to join NATO, Russia's saying that, hey, we can have a truce, we can have a peace. Now, yeah, it is a meat grinder, Shauna. The whole thing is a meat grinder. There's been so many people lost on both sides that it's tragic. I think 64,000 Russians have met their demise over this conflict. And a lot more have received wounds. A lot of wounded Russians from this, and Ukraine. I don't know what the number of Ukrainians is right now, but quite a loss of personnel on both sides. It's been a tragic war. You know, there have been entire cities just really destroyed in Ukraine. War is terrible. There's nothing glorious about war, except for the power and aggrandizement of the leaders. So now this is one thing that apparently Trump, if he gets in office, he wants to force a peace deal, and probably along these lines. And if you look at it on one side, the people in the Donbass region of Ukraine mostly favor Russia anyway. And a lot of them had filed and petitioned to be separate from Ukraine. And a lot of the reason that's been offered for Putin going into Ukraine was to protect the people in Donbass who had already been under attack from Ukraine. So Russia considers these are our own people. Ukrainians are attacking them. We got to defend them. That's one of the reasons put forward. I'm not saying that's the only reason. I don't think it is the only reason, because I think that Russia wants to go back to the strategy of Catherine the Great and Peter the Great to extend their defensive perimeter out to the point of being north and south of the Carpathian Mountains, where they can more easily control potential invasion routes into Russia. Russia is extremely paranoid because they've been invaded so many times and lost so many people historically, and because our population is rapidly dwindling, they may say this is their last best chance to do that. But if they had a peace there, they might be willing to call a truce on that and know that they have extended their territories, that we get to claim a win. And from the NATO standpoint, it's not a loss, because you still got most of Ukraine as a buffer, and the European NATO nations are arming up. A lot of people says, well, that would be giving a win to, how can you give a win to Russia after they did this invasion like that? There's two sides of that. That's one argument a lot of people make. But the other argument is that, again, that Donbass wanted to be independent anyway. And I do believe that all people should have a right of self-determination. No nation or area should be dominating or holding people against their will. So there's two sides to this. But in the long term, this war puts the entire world at risk for nuclear war. Is it worth it? I don't think so. Is it worth all the money we put in there? Hey, we got Meg Rising in the house from Alaska. Good to see you. Gilder Smurf. We got 188 in the room. That's great. Juanita says people want peace. Amen. Amen. We got to stop this nonsense, this war. The whole world's at risk over this, and it can be stopped. I say stop the carnage, and stop blowing and burning up all the money that's burned up. Stop losing all the lives, the communities. It's bad for both sides, in my humble opinion. The leaders of the world like to play us all against each other for their own aggrandizement. And that's what's happened. The population suffer as a result. So I don't see any. I am in favor of a truce like that, personally, just to bring the war to an end. If that would bring it to an end, that needs to be done. There will still be tensions. Both sides will still be armed to the teeth. It might be more like the situation we've had between North and South Korea over the many decades, but it would certainly, in my humble opinion, beat where we're at today. So, and Europe's now on call that they on notice that they got to be able to take care of business at home, especially if the United States is not as interested in things as they were in the past under a Trump administration. So we shall see. I think a Trump administration is likely going forward, but that's a whole nother topic. So, and here's another little adage here, another little thing that makes you wonder why they're doing this. What's going on? U.S. Army nuclear disablement team hones mission readiness with special forces units. Guys, we're getting ready for a nuke war. I mean, that's what this is all about right there. If you don't think it's a possibility, then why would they be doing this? Why would they be doing that? All right. Poland very likely to sign security deal with Ukraine before NATO, before the NATO summit. I got to see what this could do is pull Poland into the war. Poland is a NATO nation. There's so many slippery slope paths for us to get into a direct war with Russia right now. It's not funny. And, like I said, if Russia wants to do something, they're more likely, or Xi Jinping over in China, or Kim Jong-un want to take a move or an action, while President Taterhead is still in charge and apparently not very active after 4 p.m., can't even think apparently, then they might decide to take advantage and get it while the getting's good, because it might be their last best chance to do whatever that they would like to pull off. But now the Russians have captured an intact ATACMS missile guidance system, and they're studying it. What can that do? We could give them technology and also give them notions of how to defeat our technology, how to better stop the ATACMS missile systems. So that's one of the problems in war is your high technology, your sensitive secret technology is at risk of being seized by the adversary. We had our stealth helicopters captured or that crashed in Pakistan, went to China. It's not a good situation. And when you take your best technology and put it at risk like that, and it falls into the hand of your adversaries. But that's what's happening. You might want to say that stuff until you're really serious with your adversaries. But we have put it out there in the field already. Of course, we left all kinds of stuff behind in Afghanistan. Oh my gosh, look at all the stuff we left there. And all the technology that probably went to China and Russia, both as a result of that. Not to mention having equipped the Taliban to be stronger and have more weapon systems than they ever had. But that's a whole nother story in and of itself. Yeah, I've heard that the rich and famous are heading to the bunkers, Juanita. That's been put out there. Minda, yeah, there's nothing pretty about this, but actually Donbass apparently wanted to be part of Russia. So that's, they had petitioned for that. So I don't know. Uh, but we're talking about a potential truce here. So I was a I was fire direction for artillery all the way back in 1979, last cycle. On pull out of another war, DOD 13 and a half more years, both sides shooting the tactical silver bullets for NATO. Next one says mineral water. Is that what that stands for? Anyway, uh, BL10. I guess that's something Tennessee Prepper. BL. What's that stand for? So happy to see you. Congratulations. Yeah, sorry guys, I've not been able to come in here like I normally do. I have been quite overcome with this move I've gotten in progress. North Korea fired some missiles over the weekend, and they fired a couple more today. So they're firing a lot of missiles. They're making a lot of threats towards South Korea. Guys, for those that think communism is the future, that communism is great and wonderful, you need to take another harder look at what's going on inside of those societies. Some guy got taken out by North Korea just for watching K-pop. K-pop is nothing redeeming in my opinion, but that does not rise to the occasion of terminating someone, in my humble opinion. But that's the way things roll over there. You know, you don't have freedom of speech. You don't have freedom to do anything. That's and some people will tell people that, you know, look at Venezuela, one of the most oil-rich nations in the world, living in abject poverty. And I've had people say, "Oh, it's because the system there is corrupt." Well, all communist countries are one-party systems, and all one-party systems become corrupt, especially communist. So that just goes with it, guys. If you hadn't figured that out, that's just part of the game. That's one of the reasons I'm not a fan of communism. One of many reasons. Just one of many, many, many reasons why I'm not a fan of that system. Even though when I was in high school, I was. I have learned better. So anyway, I grew up. I learned a few things. We all stand to learn things. They say if you're not a leftist when you're young, you got no heart. If you're not conservative when you get older, you don't have a brain. I hope I have a heart and a brain. I try to anyway. Israel hits Hezbollah targets in preparation for escalated conflict. A couple of days ago, struck Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Well, they've struck some more since then. That's an older article. This is a daily thing. Now, this is another article that one needs to take a lot of attention to. Israeli foreign minister said that Iran is worthy of destruction, simply because Iran had talked about destroying Israel, basically. And here he is, Israel Katz. His name is Israel Katz. I pronounce it K-A-T-S. Looks like cats to me. So he says, a regime that threatens destruction deserves to be destroyed. Don't like that's what he said. Iran threatened destruction, so he says, hey, they deserve destruction. I guess that's tit for tat. Intelligence War Council, Iran and Hezbollah have decided to strike Cyprus together. This is from a Greek website, War News 24/7. So there you are. I don't make this stuff up, guys. Sometimes you got to go outside American media, though, to find these things. That's why you come to me, because I search far and wide to pull together the news to see what's really cooking. You're not going to get it all from U.S. websites, especially the main lamestream media. And like I said, an amphibious assault ship is what we're deploying out there toward Hezbollah conflict area. So the idea that's been put out there is that this is for the purpose of evacuating Americans. Of course, it could also be used for what an amphibious assault ship is used for. It could be used for an attack. We don't know yet what is really cooking here. So, oops. Uh-oh, I think that's the article I'm looking for. Dumb people. There we are. It's trying to hide it. All the ads in there trying to hide that. Iran threatens obliterating the war if Israel launches full-scale conflict with Hezbollah. Oh, that's why the Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz threatened and said that Iran would deserve to be destroyed. There it is. That's what he's responding to. Iran said all options are on the table if Israel launches offensives against Lebanon. And they started out talking about their proxies, but they went further to talk about direct attacks. So it's the rhetoric is escalating. The exchange of fire is escalating. Again, here's another article about us moving our forces closer to Israel and Lebanon. Now, it's part of this so that we would provide missile defense coverage for Israel, probably. Yes, it says it destroyed 7 Houthi drones in ground control station. Of course, they didn't post an article where Houthis apparently sunk a couple of ships. Houthis are getting smarter with the Red Sea attacks, and ships sailing these waters are paying the price. So they're using drone boats too. They're not just using airborne drones. They're actually using drone boats. Talking about explosive laden drone boats, just like the kind that Ukraine is using to attack Russian ships in the Black Sea. Well, the Houthis are now mimicking that with some degree of success. And we're still playing whack-a-mole, but our whack-a-mole efforts have not slowed the Houthis down. They're picking up momentum. They're doing more, not less. Oh, yeah. New York Post is bad about hiding behind the ad. A lot of them are. Makes it kind of hard to. I'm just, you're not really supposed to read an article, somebody else's content directly, although a lot of YouTube creators do that. They just don't show you the article when they're doing it. So I've seen a lot of them that will quote an article verbatim all the way down the line. It's like, how do you get away with that? That's a copyright issue, in my humble opinion. And they may get called on the carpet for it at some point in time. I'm surprised if they haven't already. So to kind of change the news up a little bit here, being a troop in a woke military has got its disadvantages. Pentagon wants to feed troops experimental lab-grown meat to reduce CO2 footprint. Now, how many of you want to eat lab-grown meat? If you like the idea of eating lab-grown meat, put a 1 in the chat room. If you don't like it, put a 2. Hey, we got Soul's Eye Jules in the house. Good to see you. Are you back in Arizona, Soul's Eye? Yeah, I was there just a couple of days ago. I was in and out. All right, guys. Now on the economic news, stocks could fall 30% as U.S. heads for a deep recession, according to analysts. Well, J.P. Morgan.
Welcome back. Take a look at futures this morning. We have mixed.
I don't want that. Hush. We don't want to hear audio. J.P. Morgan is predicting a major drop in the stock market, even more than that. Okay, I'm not seeing any big fans of lab-grown meat. How would you like to be forced to eat that stuff? I mean, good grief. No fans of lab-grown meat. Me neither. Who wants to eat that Billy Goat Gates chemical meat? I don't think I want to eat Billy Goat Gates chemical meat. Gates has his hand on every level. Don't he? Does, Nancy. He sure does. It's nasty, my humble opinion. I'll eat it if it tastes. If it's tasty, says here to win. Okay, we got 1 vote for eating it, but conditionally, if it's tasty. Yeah, but good Lord knows what all is coming in that chemical-wise. I don't trust it. I mean, how many? If you would trust something devised by Bill Gates to put on your dinner plate, put a 1 in the chat, put a 3 in the chat room. If you would trust a Billy Goat Gates recipe on your dinner plate, put a 3 in the chat room. If you wouldn't, put a 4. Yeah, I think it's gross. I agree, Michelle. I think it's gross as get out. Anyway, guys. Oh yeah, the BRICS are really coming after the dollar. They're going to set up something akin to the SWIFT system, which is enabled international trade in dollars. A SWIFT banking system. They're coming up with their own banking system. They're coming up with apparently a gold-backed currency, or at least that's what's been out there in the news that they're aiming for. We'll see what that does. All medium rare steaks. All right, I see a lot of 4s real quick. Yeah, so I agree. I wouldn't want no Billy Goat Gates chemical plate on my for me. Yikes. Of course, It might be a good time to check this out, guys. Look here, gold is now at $2,331.82 per troy ounce. Silver is almost $30 a troy ounce. So, wow, guys, it might be a good time to consider that. You know, if you go to Defy the Grid, you got to use the code Green Gregs here. If you go to Defy the Grid, to get your discount code. That's the discount code. It's not what site you go to. Websites just got to use the discount code Green Gregs, and you'll get 1% off if you do that. And you can go in here and you can get gold, bullion, coins, rounds. You know, you can get the bars. I got it dialed up on the page for goldbacks because it's kind of what I like. But they've got a lot of stuff here, and they got a guarantee that if you find a better deal somewhere else, they'll meet it or beat it. So that's kind of hard to beat, guys. I do like these goldbacks because they're fungible. They're small quantities of gold in a bill form that you can put in your wallet. So I think that's pretty attractive from my humble opinion. Like this one I got here. So you guys can put that in your wallet. That's about the right size of one note for buying a couple 12 packs of eggs or a couple of loaves of bread. Kind of hard to do that, shaving stuff off a gold bar. Basically, you'd barter with people that see the value in it. That's what you'd do. Thank you, Michelle, for listing that. I was hoping we might see New Days in there. We don't see her in here yet. New Days has gone through some very major surgery. Everybody needs to say a prayer for her tonight. All right, we'll change topics here for a little bit. Unitree's G1 humanoid robot takes on Tesla with budget-friendly pricing. Well, apparently even cheaper than, what's this thing doing? Breakdancing in the floor? I don't know what that is. Is that a breakdancing robot? I don't know what's laying on the floor, but these things are pretty agile. The last time I'd seen an article on this claimed that they were like 16,000 a copy. When I said 16,000, that's competitive with paying someone $8 an hour for a year. Well, now they're saying like $13,000. So that's even cheaper than paying an employee $8 an hour. And they're always there. They're not going to steal from you. They're not going to, they'll show up for work. They're not going to call in sick. And they're not going to lollygag around on you unless they're breakdancing. I don't know. Now that picture makes me really wonder. So, but then again, that version's from China. It may have all the Chinese spy tech in it. May be watching you. Your phone is watching you. You got one of those smartphones, it's probably watching you too, especially with some of the Microsoft software they just put in them recently. So, anywho. But now we got a big, I always told you that I don't think a robot, artificial intelligence, is something too much to worry about, that it ever be sentient, because it's all based on the electronic arrangement of transistors and the devices called latches. They're strung together into registers that, if wired up correctly, can produce a mathematical equivalent to addition. Repeated additions is multiplication. Add in a negative number, you got subtraction. Repeated subtraction is division. And arithmetic logic has been the core of the electronic computer since the digital age began. That's how the digital computers operate. Well, now they're putting brain organoids in robots. That show it's got eyebrows. Holy smoke. We're talking actual brains, biological devices. That could be a game changer. That's not an arithmetic logic in it. That could form a true neural network with neurological elements in it. That is capable, perhaps, if wired in sophisticatedly, to maybe having sentience. Age 29.57. The asking price for, what's that asking price for, Cha-Cha? They had some strange game at Burger King. It was all sitting on the tables. It could guess a number card nobody could figure out. Huh? Wow. All right. So now this is where we're getting scary with robots. And again, this is another China thing. Yikes. Organoids. Remember, I think I've talked about organoids here for a couple of years, including showing that they will actually grow eyes. These little brain things they create from stem cells that grow in their brains. They actually develop eyes. Weird, scary. They're not sophisticated eyes like we have, but they are light sensing eyes. So yeah, our economy has been hit hard. Like I said earlier, we've got several national brands, retail brands shutting down. 29,000 locations of one major retail brand has filed for bankruptcy. And here we're talking about brands such as Bed Bath & Beyond, The Body Shop, Christmas Tree Shops, Express, Rue 21, and Tuesday Morning among them. Chicken Soup for the Soul. Wow. So we got a lot of economic downturn activity already started, guys. It's a tough time for business. It's a tough time for consumers with inflation being what it is, especially food inflation. I think I'll cover this over on Swellhead News. But we might suffice it to say that a lot of our adversaries may be tempted to take action now. A lot of people are concerned and talking about potential attacks on America during this time when our commander-in-chief doesn't seem to have a lot of command at his belt. So are we in danger due to that? So I'm going to shut down the share now. I may come back on Swellhead News in a minute and show y'all the rest of those articles because some of them are a little bit more political than I want to get here on this channel. The phone camera can track your eyes and know what you're reading. Oh yeah, they can take photographs of what's in your room, and then you can ask it if something's missing. Where is it? But that's also data that may be up on some server. It's getting downright frightening for what they got. We missed New Day, Stray Cat, and Wise Owl, and Madam and Gross. Gorgeous Awesome. Yeah, we had no sense. Rex is in here tonight. Rex was here. Rex came in when we first come on. I don't know if he's still in the house, but we had Rex. For how much were the strawberries and soy and green? Yeah, maybe what we're getting. Well, you know, they come out with a soy milkshake, with artificial milk, right, based on soy. And one of the colors is green, so there is now soy green. You can buy it, you can drink it, but apparently it's as of this point in time, so comes from this soybean. So far, you got to remember, soy green was cast to be in the year 2022. We're already past that point, are we not? They have more than we know. Yeah. So, all right, I'm gonna give you all kind of the status of where I'm at, what's going on in my life. I've done 2 drives taking stuff out to Arizona. The first one, I did one video where I went out along on my bus and brought stuff, just from the homestead for future building projects. And, I got out there in a couple of days, unloaded, and came back in a couple of days. Well, this time I took the bus. I took my van I've been living out of for some time, Candy, with a trailer, overloaded, probably too much for Candy, but she pulled a big heavy trailer all the way to Arizona. And we took loaded, what was it, 26, 20-foot long U-Haul. And we packed up everything we could get in that U-Haul. So my bedroom is pretty much empty. We've emptied out a lot of the kitchen, the living room, dining room. I've been selling stuff. The D6 rocket I sold to a friend who's a collector, John Lodgston. Tim Pickens come by yesterday and picked up the rocket motor test stand, the portable one. I'll do some videos on Galactic Graves on those 2 things. I've already recorded the video. I just haven't edited and put it together. That takes some time. Hey, Wise Owl is in the house. Good to see you, Wise Owl. Good to see you in the house. I don't know where you're getting some of these people coming in. So I sold 34 of my sled bed worm beds. I still got like 18 of them about here. I may have a buyer for those. I really need another buyer because I need money for gas, for fuel. When you're running 3 vehicles back and forth, it takes a lot of fuel. Well, I had 4 guys promise to drive my other vehicles that we took. I got some other ones to take you out, but I only came up with 2 drivers. So all 4 of the guys got advanced. Oh yeah, I'm definitely going. I'm going. But when it came time to go, it was crickets. I had 2 girls stand up to drive. Now I'm gonna give those ladies credit in that they did more work packing stuff than all the guys I hired to help out. But it was the journey out there wasn't a normal 2-day journey. It took, what, 5 days to get up there. It turns out one of the girls was a night owl and the other was a early bird. And, just a lot of different things, a lot of drama. It was off the charts. It didn't have any equipment problems, but the drama really gave me a headache. It was grueling for me. It took too long, cost too much money, and it was arduous for me, very arduous. Took way too long. And when we got there, a lot of stuff, women rule. Yeah, the women did what the guys didn't stand up for. I'll give them credit for that, but there was a lot of drama in the situation, so that was not fun for me. That was very nerve-wracking. My nerves were quite a bit jaded from the trip. Can I ask why Arizona? Well, I had a sweetheart deal on 40 acres in Arizona that I picked up in 2020, and I had to think about it. So I found a really good sweetheart deal on 40 acres out there, really cheap. It turns out to be a pretty property. There wasn't proper access to it at first, but I got an easement from one of the neighbors. He granted me an easement. What was supposed to be the side with the easement was where it was supposed to have been a road. There was nothing. Everything was all washed out. And some of the people on that side of the property built fences and all kind of stuff right on what was supposed to be the roadway. And I could see a legal battle in trying to get that resolved. And it would require me to go through the prettiest part of my property and destroy it to get access to my property. I did not like that idea. I was glad and very fortunate that a neighbor that I can refer to as Bill on the Hill granted me an easement. And so we put a roadway in there last August to September, actually early September. Hey, we got super chat. All right. Is that correctly pronounced mineral water? Is that what you mean? MINRLWTR? Maybe we can do guest interviews with this winter with Ron Foster, prepper fiction and non-author over 75. Okay, that's a possibility. If you got a contact for them, I've got a couple of other prepper book article authors I want to bring in here as guests down the road. And I do like doing guest interviews. I just not had time to be scheduling them lately. I've got various people I could pull in. For a while, I was doing quite a few of the guest interview things, particularly within our EMP Task Force on National and Homeland Security. And I used to interview Dr. Peter Vincent Pry a lot. We've had Glenn Rhodes on the channel. We've had John Hollerman on the channel. We've had David Pine on the channel, all from the EMP Task Force on National and Homeland Security, which I'm very active in. I've also had from Secure the Grid, I've had Tommy Waller, Colonel Tommy Waller, and we've also had Mike Mabey, Command Sergeant Major Mike Mabey on here several times. So it's probably time to get some of these guys back, maybe some other people that I've also had. The guy who did the documentary with, they had actor, what was that actor's name? I'm drawing blank right now. Black Sky documentary, and I've had another documentary producer on here. I've had 2 different producers on this channel. So, I'll try to bring you guys the latest on Power Grid. And I try to keep that up as best as I can, but a lot of stuff is going down right now. So back to why Arizona. I did a video called the High Desert Prepper. Go watch that video. It's on my channel. Go see the High Desert Prepper. I kind of make my case in there for why I went ahead and went there. When I bought the property, it wasn't just a sweetheart deal. At the time, my worm business was doing great. And I was looking at the idea that it was costing me a lot more money to ship to the west than it was shipping within the eastern side of the country. So I thought, wow, it'd be nice if I had a property and something set up to grow and ship worms from the west side of the nation. And, at the time I was toying around with the idea of having people work for me on a sharecrop basis as an incentive for production above and beyond hired help. And I tried that, but most of the people have still got wage mentality thinking in their head and just didn't work out. And I had ran into problems in 2020, as y'all might recall. And I shut down for a few months because my dad died, my brother died, the pandemic and everything going on really created the havoc from operations at the time. I was doing great in sales. Some of you may know of Miss Flowers, who runs Mean Worms. At that time, I was doing 140 pounds a week, and she's doing 100 pounds. That woman is doing almost $1 million a year in sales right now. There is a market for worms. Everything I told you about that was absolutely true. The problem is that her model was that she did it herself, her and the granddaughter, and she wasn't hiring outside help so much. I, took the model that used to work of hiring outside people, but after the bug that went around, the cerveza bug hit, the world changed. You just can't find decent help parties anymore. It's very, very difficult. And I had people that made me a lot of promises, and it just didn't go through. We just cost me a lot. It basically cost me everything. I lost my rear end on that. I could have paid all my debts off for what I put into the operation, and it should have paid off, but that model just don't work anymore. So my advice going forward to everybody is do what you can do yourself, what you and your immediate family can do. Beyond that, if you can't do that, I would not recommend anybody hiring anyone. It's not a model that works, not at any price, not at any wage. I've had people on the West Coast, criticize me for paying low wages. I actually brought some people in and paid them higher wages and had to tear out everything they did and start over. So that model doesn't work either. It's just hiring people is a model that don't work anymore. It's just not functioning, in my humble opinion. Maybe some of you guys have had better success with it, but I've talked to a lot of people that run various contracting operations. There is one exception. That's if you hire Mexicans. Apparently Mexicans, I do know a few successful farms, and they all hire Mexicans, and they succeeded with that. But I didn't have time to figure out what's all the legal steps you got to go through, what's the hurdles, what do you have to watch for, how do you keep from getting into big trouble because somebody gave you a false ID. And I had a day job. That was just more than I could chew off on. To climb that ladder and learn all that, in addition to everything else I was doing, I just couldn't do it. So I did not go there. As y'all might know, the last through 2023, I was employed 3/4 time in a remote work job that did enable me to get started on my operation in Arizona. But I had to do my work out there on weekends because I was still working during the week, remote working from Arizona. And but this year until Monday, I had no income. And so if I hadn't been for selling some stuff, I couldn't have moved anything. I would have been in trouble. I've got a buyer for this place. I was supposed to have been out of here already. Being here this month into July means I got to pay a mortgage. I got to pay a lot of bills I was hoping to pay off by the sale. And so it's cost me about nearly $4,000 extra just being here this month. So it's a huge penalty on me. And it's also a penalty against what I was hoping to be moving money to move on. Like I said, I've started a new job. It is full-time and totally remote. So that will help, but I don't get paid for for a little bit yet, and yet I got to still move. So it's going to take time to get my finances back up where I can just afford gas to go take stuff out there. But I got to get out of here at the same time. So I'm kind of caught between a rock and a hard place and needing to get out of here and having the wherewithal to do it. So it's a tight situation. Once I can get all this out from under me and get rid of a good bit of my debt, what I get paid will not pay off all my debt, nor will it provide the money to fix up the place out there. The job over time will, but not immediately. It's going to take time to accumulate to where I can do something out there with funds from the work. So I'm kind of caught in that middle there. Hey, Cha-Cha. Thank you, Cha-Cha. Appreciate that very much. But the other thing with Arizona is this. My neighbors are all preppers. Except one maybe, but he's an ex-Marine. The neighbors out there actually help you. And they don't expect anything in return necessarily, although I would definitely help them out too. So neighbors out there are neighbors, in the old-fashioned sense. They help each other out. I've run a lot of really good people out there. Anywhere you go, there's good and bad. I mean, you're going to get some druggies anywhere in the world these days in this country. But I have run to a lot of really good people, and a lot of close friends I have are out there, including some that have that are in our family of YouTube channels. There's one, a member, I don't want to disclose her location unless she wants to come forward with that, but there are a number of people out there that are moving to that area. So it's an exciting place to be. But prepping's pretty, if you're moving out in the desert, you probably have that mentality. Jesse Mills can tell you about it, and he can also tell you that the Mormons are preppers by definition. It's part of the religion. It is a Mormon community. Myself, I'm not Mormon, but I do appreciate that they have good morals. I appreciate that in the Mormon community areas, there's less crime, there's less to worry about. There is, and the people are prepping. So the ratio of preppers and non-preppers is very favorable, unlike most places around here where everybody's going to turn into hungry zombies. It's going to be looking to eat you when their stuff runs out after 2 or 3 days. And it's just a different world in that regards. And I don't have people stacked up on top of me in every direction. This community here is growing in gangbusters. They're building ginormous apartment complexes just a few miles from here. I mean, I moved out in the country when I moved to where I'm at now. I just happened to be a little, I'm in like a little development. I got the corner lot, so I got room for a homestead in the back. But in the front, it's like being in a suburb. In the back, I'm out in the woods. So I got kind of both worlds, depending on where you walk out the back door or the front door. So I thought that was kind of interesting when I moved in here. But just too many people coming in here. Just there are just lots of them. But now if you want to be in a place where there's a lot of jobs, a lot of opportunity, and a lot of shopping and culture, Huntsville's got all that. And plus you could, whoever buys the guy's buying this place, when he puts it up for sale, this would be a great homestead for somebody that wants to be close to the city and jobs and things like that. There's tons of jobs here in that regard. You never cease to amaze me, Cha-Cha. May God continue to bless you. My sweetheart, says Arnold. Yes, she is that. So it's and talking about friends, Jesse Mills, he's out that way. He and I had the good fortune to meet up on one of my trips out there. So I got a lot of friends out there, a lot of friends. So that kind of works out for me. I got a lot of friends right here. Got a lot of friends out there too. So it's kind of like I've got I've got some friends and family in Houston, but Houston's a bigger city. That's not where a prepper ought to aim to be. My closest neighbor by air is like 1/3 of a mile away, maybe a little bit further than that. I got you can throw a rock at him neighbor's house on either side around here if you got a good throwing arm. So yeah, it's a very different dynamic. It's really quiet. You go outside, you don't hear anything. It's quiet. You might hear a bird. You might hear a coyote, but beyond that, it's pretty quiet. At nighttime, the stars are brilliant. The moon's not shining. The stars are very brilliant because you don't have all the light pollution you got around the more urbanized areas. So there's a lot of advantages there. I got 40 acres there. I got plenty of elbow room. I can go outside and go bang, bang, bang. I can exercise my nugs. I can take my nug on a walk. You know what I mean? Pet nugs. And I can feed them all the kibbles I want, and nobody cares. So there's all that. And if you were to try to come see me, you got to drive over a half a mile past a Marine to get to me. You got to pass the Marine first. But you got a long way to go to get to my house. And you're not coming down that road unless you're coming to see me. So there's not going to just be casual traffic. No. Matter of fact, it's not all that easy to get in and out of where I'm at. So that's an advantage from a prepper standpoint. I can control access to my place. I can fortify my defenses a lot easier there. I can monitor what's going on a lot easier there. You got inspiration you get there. That's right. And I don't know, the place is kind of spiritual to me. It's kind of an amazing place. So I really like it. I like the area. I like what I've seen. I've spent last half of last year out there. and I've been out there a couple times this year already, and we'll be going back really soon. I got half my stuff out there now. Done moved half my stuff, so I still got more stuff. This room has not been tackled yet, but it will soon. All this will go away real soon. Um, so there's advantages to that, guys, and I bought it originally to be a West Coast operation for my worm farm, but it's become my bug out location and bug in, because there's nothing better than living in your bug out. You're not bugging out anymore, you're bugging in. So it's a great bug in location, in my humble opinion. And I've taken a lot of material out there, a lot of roofing material and poles where I can build a lot of rainwater collection. Rainwater collection is permissible there. It's just the roof of my little tiny home alone, that 200 square feet. If you look at 12.2 inches of rain annually, which is average, it could be more, could be less, but that's over 1,800, almost 2,000 gallons of water. And I've got a lot more roofing material I'm taking out there, so I'll be able to do a lot better than that. Hopefully I can put a well in. There's some other techniques and technologies that you can employ that are similar to permaculture for taking care of water, for growing things. I got an area cleared out for a garden. So bug in is the way to go. Yes, Zen Jamming. How you doing, Zen Jamming? That's the intention, to bug in. So if anybody's watching my video this month, I've done the news portion, so we're just talking about this move. I left the bus out there because since I started my day job, I needed someone driving back while I worked. I got to work 8 hours a day now. And 2 of my meetings are at 7 in the morning, which out there is 5 in the morning. So I've got to become an early bird, and I'm heading in that direction. And right now I am sleeping in my van still because my bedroom upstairs is no longer a bedroom. So the only bed I got is out in the van. And that's where I'm going tonight. That's where I've been sleeping since I've got back, and I've slept in it some out there and going back and forth. I sleep in that van, and I'm the man in the van, but not down by the river. So I will sleep again in my van tonight. The man in the van. So that's how I'm rolling right now, guys. Bug in or have a sailboat. Sailboat might be good. 4x4 and a phone call is not an issue to me, Rocket Man. There you go. So yeah, I don't have a 4x4 vehicle, but at least not yet. So the whole idea is that it's a peaceful place out there. I like that. It's just peaceful on my property, very peaceful. And your neighbors aren't out mowing yards all the time and making a lot of racket, and have loud vehicles driving around, things like that. Now I do live, this property's in a circle, so I don't get all the road traffic here. And that's another fortunate thing. You don't have to back out in a busy highway to leave the house. I don't know why people have a house off of a major highway. I would not be fond of that. Esoteric gold, if you're looking for livestock, check your area for the FFA tractor supply store. I got 2 tractors I'm hoping to get out there. I got them in the tractor mechanic right now. He's taking them in for me. So hopefully I can get them out there on my back of my black truck. But logistics of getting all the stuff out there is a challenge for me. One of the biggest challenges is that now I got to spend 8 hours a day working now. So I can travel on weekends, but if I'm doing another multiple driver thing, that's kind of arduous. It's a bit nerve-wracking, having other drivers involved. And it's a case that, but if I come in at least one leg of the truck, return leg, I need someone to drive if I'm going during the weekdays, because I got to be doing this for about 8 hours a day. So that's going on. In any event, I am working on a commercial space station project. That's all I'll say for right now. So I'm back in the space business. So I need to do more Galactic Greg's content, don't I? I've thought about a boat for a while. Steak prices are going up. That's one thing I could do there. I could put in some cattle. I could probably run 10 or 15 head of cattle on my place. I got a low area, which would make a perfect pasture. In fact, when I was down there walking through that last summer, I had flashbacks to being a kid out working on fences on my grandma's property with my dad behind me. Now, we had our own property. We kept cows on our place, and we kept cows on my grandmother's place, too. We ran about 40 head of cattle on us kid, Paul Hereford. And so, I spent a lot of time in pastures, the cows growing up. That's how I was raised. So it's like my dad was standing behind me, I had that kind of a flashback when I was walking through part of that. And so that made me feel real good. But there is a really good pasture area on the bottom part of my property. And maybe I'm too old to be handling cattle, but I don't think so, not yet. So I definitely, if I can swing it, would not mind putting in a few head of cattle, maybe get myself a couple of pigs. Can't exactly have that where I'm at here now, but cattle has always been attractive to me. So miles and miles of Lake Roosevelt, not a soul in sight. Wow. Sounds good to Watchman. All right, so let me kind of see what everybody's saying. I think we're going to be done in this room for tonight. Here in a minute, I may go over to Slowhead News for just a little bit. I got to get up shortly, so that'll be a short stint. Let's see what everybody's saying here. I keep seeing reports that the equator is rapidly moving. Well, if the equator is moving, the North Star would be moving. You hear people talk this all the time. When I go out and look at the North Star, it's in the same place. Astronomers will be telling you that. Look, we got a world full of amateur astronomers. They don't belong to NASA or any government agency. If that were going on, they'd tell you about it. So I wouldn't. I don't think the Earth has had a little bit of a change, just slight, just a fraction of a degree, just a mills of a degree. And it's claim that's because of all the water we pump, changing the center of gravity of the Earth. I think that's a stretch. I think that's a huge stretch. Join Apocalyptic Apothecary. Well, I'll tell you what, you want an apothecary, watch my video on wild edibles and wild medicinals. I got several videos on that from my earlier days on the channel. Go back and look at some of my old gator freighter. Go back and look at some of my old videos on that stuff. Anonymous, like times before they will finally overcome the wall. Growing and eating kale, right? Very good, very good. Make them eat bugs, they might. I think I'm talking about chemical meat. Well, they got, you know what? There's all this talk about, the lab grown meat, reducing CO2 footprint. We look at all the processes involved, the factory equipment, the energy involved in growing that stuff. It produces more carbon. In fact, there's been some studies coming out suggesting that cattle actually sequester more carbon. And what they do to making grass grow and stuff like that, they actually make the soils more productive and growing grass, which sequesters carbon. Cattle actually reduce greenhouse gases, according to some studies. Actually reduce greenhouse gases. Look, all this stuff they're throwing at us is about control. It's just control. That's all it's about. All this other stuff is just cover. They don't want you to be independent. They don't want you growing your own food. I've done videos talking about how that a lot of them are wanting to attack gardening. They want you to eat their chemical-laden junk. That's what it boils down to. They're bugs. Eat the bugs, the chemical meats, and all their induced chemical washed cardboard vegetables and fruits. Strawberries have got more chemicals and more pesticides than anything you get in the grocery store, which is most important, especially growing your own. There's ways to do that. Aquaponics is a good way. Hydroponics, I like aquaponics for growing strawberries, actually. And tomatoes grow really well that way. Peppers. How long until Biden starts using Supreme Court immunity? Probably pretty darn soon there, the Watchman. That's probably more of a victory for him than anybody. Mineral water, John Cole, but what's fun? I like the clowns. I like the clowns in strip club. What is that? Mineral water. Oh, well, we got somebody in the channel I missed Terry Gold here tonight. All our beef is actually vaccinated meat right now. Well, you can get people to grow on their own. You know, that's how to do it. The factory stuff, the big herds. Now, Gates has been pushing that. He pushes that. Good dairy farm. There you go. Fungible, one of my favorite words. There you go, Tactical Matt Foley. Buy local. Amen. Buy local. I've said it many times. You know, if you don't want to support the system, if you're not a fan of the House of Klaus and all the big corporations, buy local. Support your local artisan, your local farmer. If you're buying organic from the grocery store, you're probably getting stuff grown out of human waste. But if you're buying it from a local farmer, you know, that's not what you're getting. And I've shown you in my videos how to use worm castings and compost, stuff like that, to make great vegetables. You can't top worm castings, guys. You really can't. You won't even need chemicals in your garden if you do it right. You don't have to go to the store to buy anything. When the grid's down, you're not going to be able to go to the store. Most gardeners are growing stuff that they can only grow if they go to the store. I highly encourage you guys to start getting out of that. Read our minds. I don't know about that, Shauna, but I don't know. The AI though is getting too sophisticated. Oh yeah, human skin. Oh yeah, there was another article. So far, the AI is put together from networks of hundreds of these supercomputers. Now, they're claiming that there's somebody out there paying AMD, which is your big chip company out of Southern California, to develop an AI system that's going to use 1.2 or 12. I think it's 1.2 million computers all put together. It's supposed to be 30 times more powerful than any AI system out there today. What is that going to do? Ace Madero, good to see you back in the house. I need to get some junk silver coins. There you go, Ace. Something doing more aggressive is putting people in medical lockup. Oh, yeah. Well, from these nursing homes are taking family farms. It's been family for generations, just to give somebody a little theoretical comfort over the last couple of years in their life. And the nursing homes really used it terrible on people. So it's kind of a shame to see stuff that families pulled over for so many years lost so quick and easily. That's kind of a shame. Shauna D, thank you. Yeah, 2020 was a rough year for me. And last year, I invested a lot in redoing my greenhouse here and tried to get this operation going. And I watched everything get blown up in it. I had a really bad week in March. And that really cemented to me the idea that I need to get out of here. That really told me what I needed to do. That's also part of I got many reasons for heading to Arizona, but it's a great way for bugging in. I'm bugging out to my bug in. Bugging out to bug in. Let's get a video on that, right? All right, good night, Ace. Apophis is going to make a close pass to us in 2029 on Friday the 13th in April, I believe. And it's going to come back again 2036, but it doesn't look like it's going to hit us. We'll come in within the geosynchronous asteroids. We just had a big asteroid come with 80% of the distance between the Earth and the Moon. It's like 143 meters. That was a big one. Good thing that didn't hit us. Got a well. I got a well here. I got to put a well out in Arizona. That's going to cost some money. And I don't have that kind of money right now. It's going to be a while before I have that kind of money, but I do want to put a well out there. So that's going to be one of my goals. The good thing is, though I got a neighbor, I got two neighbors with wells. and they boasted I can have water if I need to from them. And one of them's on solar. That's helpful. But I got a bucket I'm gonna take with me out there. They can drop down a well. It's one of those little narrow buckets. You can drop it down and drill the well, and then pull water up. It's the old-fashioned long bullet-shaped bucket a lot of people used to use. I've got one of those that might need a little refurb on it for the flapper valve in the bottom, but it needs to be cleaned up. But I could haul water out of the well with that. Just a few gallons at a time, but it's definitely if the grid goes down and if the solar is EMP'd or something don't work, that's a way to get water. Ace went to bed. I see. Good for him. I need to get in bed because I got to get up in a little bit. Cistern. Yeah. I can make some cisterns out there. Definitely that. Well, I'm going to put in some, I've got a big water container here. I got to figure out how to get out there. My big back truck, I have to make 2 or 3 trips to carry some of my bigger stuff. Blue's going to probably carry the microgreens trailer out there. I'm probably going to turn my microgreens trailer into an adjunct living room next to my tiny home. That's kind of what I'm thinking now. And I'll have my bus available. Hey, Kathleen, how you doing? Catherine, excuse me. Catherine Willie, yeah. Good to see you in the house. All right. Just got back from Seattle where my old man had a major 12-hour surgery. Wow, on his tongue. I'm doing all the wounded care, tummy tube feeding. Well, it's a good thing he's got you. Good thing he's got you. So are you back in Alaska now? All right, Keith in Arizona, looks like he lost weight. Bought a 16 by 40 tiny home. Huge compared to my travel trailer. I bet, Keith, good to hear from you. Keith, I'm glad you're finally in a lot better spot. Keith had a tough time financially there for a while. So I'm glad to see you and progressing. Happy to see that. Now, I'm his wife. Good to see you in the house. I'm looking at getting a hand pump. Well, if I need it, yeah. Spouse will retire and become a bug farmer. Yeah, it says, hey, mineral water, $10. Let's see. Possum prepping, Ron Foster, book owner, finance property. All right. Salute to you. Thank you. Possum prepping, Ron Foster. I have to look that up. There used to be some videos out called Possum Living. The idea was living on the ultra cheap. I could actually do that in my property out there. I could live on if I get water, I could live on next to nothing once I get, bills paid off. So that's a strong possibility. I could live on next to nothing out there. That's one of the things that check. Do you monitor EAMs? No, not directly. I don't monitor them directly. You got to have a lot of equipment for that. It takes a lot of time and equipment. And I just don't have the time or money for either right now. Plenty of other channels do that. Got back home, horrible place, Seattle. Darn good surgeons. I bet they got some good surgeons down there. Yeah. I remember first time I ever drove into Seattle. I drove from Alabama to Seattle and shipped my truck up to Alaska from there. And I remember just driving in. That's the first time I ever saw interstates, up at 3 or 4 different levels in every direction. It's like, man, I don't even want to stop in this town. I drove straight to port, shipped my vehicle, got a cab over to SeaTac and flew to Alaska. SeaTac's the airport at Seattle Tacoma Airport. So, yeah. First time I flew through SeaTac was on my way to Alaska from when I was in the Army. So I've been through SeaTac a couple of times. Back when I went to SeaTac, that was back when the Hare Krishnas were still in the airports. They would come up to you all the time. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Airplane. That was kind of funny about some of that. They won't be happy until we're eating each other. That's what they want. Orwell, 2084. How you doing, Orwell? So, yeah, well, some of us plan on sticking around in spite of the guidestones they put up, right? So, let's see here. All right, Watchman says, Jesse, everything's kind of strange this year, cooler than normal and drought, but a little rain showers here and there. Well, it was raining out in the desert when I was out there. Not too much directly where I was at. It did rain some. But the monsoon season's coming up. Hope I can get some water collection set up before the monsoon season comes in. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off or not. I definitely need to collect some rainwater. Yeah. Yes, Jason, that's the idea. For me to permanently go to Arizona, which is that way from that way. That's west. So I'll be going in that direction. So that is the idea. Janosara, how you doing? How am I doing on my moving? Well, I've been talking about that. I got about half my stuff in Arizona right now. About half of it. So I got some more, maybe more than half. Most of the stuff in the house is in Arizona and in the storage building right now. Because my tiny home's not done. I can't move anything into the tiny home right yet. I do have a little storage building out there on the site, but it's full right now. Guidestone's time castle is supposedly not found. You gotta wonder, don't you? See, so now you're working. Did you cancel your? I'm gonna have to call them up. I haven't got paid yet. I haven't got paid yet, so I'll have to call them up and see what's supposed to be done. You're supposed to report what you're earning, so that means they'll either stop paying you or you got to pay them back. So I don't even know how that works. I've not had time, but I will call them as soon as I get paid. So I ain't got paid anything yet, but I'll definitely be calling them probably sometime this week. I don't even know the procedures for that, but I'll find out. But I've only got a couple of checks. Let's see, maybe March, April, May. All right, I got 3 checks. So from Social Security, it's not a lot of money. It'd be enough survival out there. So, but working's always a good thing. So can't complain if it's a remote job, especially. I do have a Starlink unit out there. I'm not set it up yet. Probably in my next trip out, I'll have to set it up. This past 5 year with our own septic tank system built without having to get it pumped out. That's good. Get a leach pipe system built all of it by hand. Henry Morgan takes care of it. Well, that's good to hear. Good to hear. There's a lot of investigations getting buried, Jason. So a lot of stuff's getting buried. Monsoons are here. Your area got hit a few times. Just keeping a shovel handy. I got some shovels out there. Yeah, it was raining some when I was out there. It was raining some. So definitely that. Some friends out there accuse me of bringing rain because every time I show up, it rains, it seems like. Hey, John Long. Good to see you in the house. Oh, yeah, let's check and see what's happened here on my PayPal. Thank you, Michelle, for posting that. Let's see before we go here. What kind of donations we got through the links that Michelle Young is so graciously sharing. Got to log in here. Second. Log in. All right, Michelle Young, donation $10. Thank you, Michelle, for the super chat. I am most appreciative of that. She also gave me a $20 super chat back on the 25th of June. I did not do any videos that day. She was just being generous, and I most appreciate that. I appreciate it very much. How do worm farms do in Alaska winter? Well, I actually did a video on how to keep your worms warm in the winter. I did sell worms. I shipped worms to Alaska. I think the guy kept them in a greenhouse up there. And I've seen where people raise worms in Canada. So I covered that. I've covered how to do that, mainly with in-ground beds, throwing a lot of biomaterial on top of them. There are ways to do that. You see, we have a hurricane season. Yes, we've got a Cat 5 hurricane in the Atlantic, or in the Caribbean right now. But yeah, it went Cat 4 real fast, Cat 5, and it hit land, and Islands and is apparently going toward the Yucatan Peninsula. Let's see, I got some data here on that from Colonel Cole. What it says is earliest Cat 4 on record, 30 June 2024. Earliest Cat 5 on record, 1 July 2024. Wow. That's some more data. How come I'm not seeing it all? It's got wind speeds, I think it was 160 miles an hour. Here it is. It's Hurricane Beryl. And it's a Cat 5 hurricane with steady wind speeds of 161 miles an hour with gusts of 196. Guys, this is a superstorm. This one is crazy. It is crazy, guys. So get ready. Be prepared, guys, because that's nothing. You got to prepare for natural disasters. Hurricanes could be hitting anywhere in the Gulf of Mexico and up and down the Atlantic coast through this season. The waters are very warm in the Gulf of Mexico, especially if the Gulf Stream is shutting down. That water will just fester there and get warmer and warmer. It's a very southern track for that storm. That's true. But every now and then they do that. Heartworms in Alaska greenhouse. I'll go check your worm farm. Yeah, do that. There's a video called Keeping Worms Warm in the Winter. Go check that out. All right, the Watchman, thank you for joining us. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to go on Soil Head News. I'm going to have to make a quick video. So, guys, say a prayer for Catherine's husband. He just had a major surgery. Say a prayer for New Day. She just had a major surgery. She is at home recovering. As always, say a prayer for, we had a good, that storm heads north just a little bit. Yeah. That would be pretty catastrophic if it hit Starbase, but that could always happen. Could always happen. So, anyway. All right, folks, let's call it a night. I'm going to thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all, super chatters. Thank you, mods, for all you do. Everyone for watching. Like, share, subscribe. And, the platform don't do me a favor, so share my video just because of the content we covered. They're liable to demonetize. I don't know. But everything I covered is within the scope of the rules. But who knows? They, sometimes they just get real persnickety about those things, right? Very careful not to put anything out there tonight that's outside the scope of their community guidelines. But who knows? They get real persnickety sometimes. But that travel trailer connected in your house, that travel trailer is messed up. The woman I had living there kept dogs in it, and it's trashed. Can't use it. But I will use my microgreens trailer for that. And I got a bus. The bus is right now a cargo carrier, but I will convert that eventually into something I can live and work out of, at least in part. So I'm going to go live on Soil Head News just for a little bit. We'll do a Soil Head News channel video, and I'll have a couple of videos to post on Galactic Greg's about the DC-6 rocket and about our rocket motor test, portable rocket motor test stand that Tim Pickens came and got yesterday. So expect some content from Galactic Greg's. And once again, thank you, super chatters. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, mods, for what you do to keep our channel nice and clean. We are a family channel here. And y'all have been so vigilant that the trolls don't even bother to visit us anymore. Y'all have spanked those trolls so hard that they're scared to come around. So I appreciate all that. And Arnold and everyone here, all you guys, Jesse, Jason, everybody in Nightman's Wife, thank you all, one and all. So with that, I am going to say, one and all,